is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Ruthellen Sanchez and I am going to be your host today on Daily with Doc and Becca. Let's go ahead and open up those Zoom room doors and let everyone in. And I have to say these little things. Oh my goodness. This program is for educational purposes. It is not meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any diseases, nor is it meant to take the care of your primary care physician. We do not make claims about money or income or health. As an empowered individual, you do have choices, and any testimonial that is given today is going to be given as a personal experience of the individual and is not a claim from us. All right, so today we're going to have a really exciting show. We're talking with Tim Marsh, and today's topic is the body heals in months. The nervous system can stay stuck for years, which I have personally experienced this myself. So over the past several years, I'm going to say 2 years, Tim and I have been sharing information with you. We've explored the fascia, trauma, stress, physiology, movement, metabolism, pain, and recovery through a number of conversations here on Daily with Doc and Becca. But when we look back there, we think that there's a piece missing. So we realized that we never stepped far enough away from the individual topics to show the architecture of the connection of all of them. So that's what today's conversation is going to be about. It's going to be a roadmap. It's going to help you understand better, because sometimes things get to where we can't put the pieces together. So that's what we're going to work on doing today. So I'm going to bring Tim on with me so he can join us. There you are. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So today's topic is body heals in months. The nervous system can stay stuck forever. So Tim, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, let's start with the question, why, when people can get surgery, they can get different therapies, and they've been cleared, and they've had X-rays and MRIs, and and they still feel pain.
Mm.
Like, what is that about? And it's about how the nervous system has a response loop. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We talked about fascia, we talked about pain and trauma and other, Daily with Doc and Becca shows, right? This is going to be the one that kind of solidifies all the other six, because this is deep information that not a lot of therapists and not a lot of people know. And this is really going out to those individuals who have had shoulder surgery, neck surgery, and they've been told by their doctors it's in their heads, it's not real, it's psychosomatic and all that stuff. And actually, there's another side of the coin that people really need to understand, and it's our nervous system and our brain. And it goes beyond the HPA and all that. It goes into different feedback mechanisms.
Right. So explain again what the HPA is for those who may not have heard you talk before. And we already have a question. So
Okay, well, the HPA axis stands for hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And when you start looking at the fascia of the body is the second nervous system of the body. And then we have our central nervous system. And the HPA axis acts on both of them.
okay. All right. All right. So why don't we start with the situation you've seen over and over again through the years?
Well, like I said, the situation is people have surgeries, surgery was successful, and all of a sudden they start to feel pain again. And it's like, where did that come from? And a lot of times what happens is I deal with the fascia. So that could be scar tissue that's pulling on a nerve or irritating a nerve root. Or it could be limiting the joint, and the proprioceptors in the joint are sending a signal.
Very good. Can you adjust your earbud a little bit forward? You just
How about that?
that's better.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's much, much better. Thank you. So I don't know if you want to take any questions now or if you want to wait until after your talk, because we have lots of beautiful slides that you made.
Yeah, I mean, let's take the questions. Let's just dive into it and have fun.
Okay, well, Sarita has a question and then we'll start with your slides, okay?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, Sarita.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, thanks for the information. This is perfect. So I met a lady that I have known for years, and the last time I met her, she had like one surgery. Now she has a handicapped space. She's had 5 knee surgeries
Ooh,
and a
that's
lot
far
of
too
pain.
many.
Yeah. And I saw her, I was like, what? She's a runner. I said, I tried to tell her before, it's like, all that running is what's happening to your knees. She kept running. So, doctor said he didn't want to do any more surgeries. I said, she don't have anything else to put up, to do. So what would you suggest? Because she's in a lot of pain, of course, and on pain meds. What can
Well,
I share with her?
it all depends on what kind of surgery she's had. If she's had total knee replacement, if she's had meniscus replacement, a lot of times the knee pain could be coming from the fact that the hip is not doing what it's supposed to do, or the ankle is not dorsiflexing like this. When we take a step, it's pushing down, which means the knee force is going forward and the patella tendon is getting irritated also. But there's usually there's something that's missed. And my spidey sense tells me if you have her take a softball and
Okay.
you put it in the back of her calf, and you let that calf release. That might be able to give her knee more freedom, and it might change the whole dynamic of it.
Yeah, that
So a
helped me.
soft ball in the back of her knees.
Yeah. So if
No,
you look at the knee,
wait,
we have
not in the back of the knee, right? The calf.
no the back, the calf, not the back of the knee. That's thanks, Ruthellen.
No,
That's a contraindicated spot. Nobody's supposed to do that. But
Okay.
you know where the two gastrocs are. Chances are she has one big giant gastroc, and it's not controlling the lateral and the medial movement of the body. So it's
Okay.
only controlling the front, like the north and south part. So when you get the two gastrocs and you have that little muscle, it's called the soleus muscle, that's considered our second heart. As we take a step, it pumps blood back up. And she's probably not getting that deceleration of those two muscles working together instead of one big giant knot. Does that make sense?
Not really, because I'm not
So,
sure where you're talking about in the leg. So
so
it's
Oh, the calf. The calf. You know where the calf where
yeah, the
you
calf.
yeah,
Yeah.
right there in the meaty part of the calf.
Okay.
Those muscles are probably atrophied or locked or glued in, and she's
Ah.
not getting that movement. So her body has to lean forward and put a lot of pressure on a knee that's probably, trying to heal, but it keeps getting irritated.
Yeah. So okay. All right. So will a tennis ball do it? Does it have to be a softball?
No, it's got to be big. Tennis
Got to
balls,
be
it's probably, yeah, or a foam roller,
okay.
something, but it's probably, she's not probably going to like it because it's going to be painful. But we got to dig out the adhesions because if she's had that many surgeries, I know that she has scar tissue there.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
it's not going to feel good. And she doesn't have to
No,
put it down. She just has to put it under the meaty part of her calf and let her leg weight push down. And it's going to hurt. And she's going to want to stop. But if she just sticks through it, it's going to help because I've had to do this.
yeah,
Tim has done it to me with a
yeah.
softball and his arm resting on my leg.
Ah.
It just
It's not
helped.
pleasant, but a lot of times when she's gone through all the stuff she's gone through, somebody's missing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we figure that out, then she can start to well, if you kind of listen to this show, you'll kind of understand how her body can start to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm expecting to hurt, so therefore I'm bracing to hurt.
Uh-huh.
It's like that, it's that feedback loop.
Sure.
So if the brain is sitting there expecting to get hurt, then what happens is it only remembers not the present, it takes the past into the present. So if I've had bad experiences and I've gone through 5 knee surgeries, chances are there's a psychological component of, wow, I'm broken, nobody can fix me, and also there's something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And really it's not about what's wrong, it's about probably what's right. Her body's doing exactly probably what it needs to do. It just needs to be opened up.
Right. That sounds
It,
good. Any of our products that she can take right now? Because I mean, I guess the collagen or the
that's not going to
glucogen.
do it. No,
No.
it's not going to do it. No,
And she
you've got
doesn't.
to, yeah, you know what? Leave your information and
Okay.
have her reach out to me, and I'll talk to her and maybe kind of put her on the right path.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you. I'll do that.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
the tissue support would be good for that.
Mhm.
And cream and the Osteo-fx and I know you know how to make turbo creams, so make one with the bone and tissue support, cypress oil. Oh God,
I have the book. No worries. I got it.
yeah, sweet birch and something else. That
Yeah.
I'll send you the recipe. And of
Yeah.
course, the 90. Got to have the 90. MSM would be really good.
Yeah, got it. All right, great. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
hope that helped, Rita.
Yes, sir, it did.
Okay, good.
He's Serena. Serena is super sweet. I love her. All right. So, Tim.
You want to put up that first slide?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I got to find it because it got buried underneath everything. All right. Bear with me just a minute, folks. Share the right screen. So I got to be careful. All right. And I got to switch scenes. There we go. All right.
Okay, so what we're looking at is you're looking at the areas that we're going to be kind of dealing with. So you have what's called the prediction protection. So the body's predicting based on the information from the past and mixed in with the present that it's going to hurt. And then you have the stress response. Then you have, let's see, what does that say? Autoimmune regulation? Yeah. And then extended patterns, movement and tracking, and touch and connection. So with that, we might as well go right to the next slide. All right. So first thing we have to do is we have to understand that the brain and the body are going to try to predict the weather, the current weather. Okay, so it's what's the weather inside the body. And the brain and the body use these different feedback loops to basically make sure that the individual stays safe. That's the most important part. The nervous system doesn't wake up and say, hey, you know what? I want to be a bad person. I want to be a bad nervous system. What happens is the nervous system is taught how to be dysfunctional. And that's through the predictive index. So in other words, you know how you probably hurt your back and all of a sudden you're bending over and your breath starts to get tight and you start to get, really anxious? Well, what is that? That's your body predicting it's going to hurt because it learned the lesson the first time, the second time, the third time, and the fourth time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're dealing with step 2 is we're dealing with the brain constantly predicting what will happen next. It's scanning for danger. It's scanning for information. So if we have the experience and it's trying to figure out where it is, the perception is a continued kind of like a false narrative, like a hallucination. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm always hurt, so therefore when I go and bend over and grab this piece of paper on the floor, I'm going to get hurt. And what people want to understand is when you're working with people and you're helping them rehabilitate, sometimes you have to change that predictive time where they go, oh, well, it usually hurts when you bend my knee this way. And all of a sudden, when the knee doesn't bend that way and it goes deeper, what we've done is we've thrown a monkey wrench into that predictive index that the brain tries to access.
I have personal experience. Yeah.
So basically, it looks for the prior information, it looks for the evidence, and then it tries to update that evidence, even if that evidence is not present. That's what people need to understand. So Besser van der Kolk, who wrote the book called The Body Keeps the Score, he was talking about this. But rather than say, oh, it's just fascia, I'm giving you the ins and outs of it before you get to the fascia, because the brain is also reacting.
Right. Are you ready for the next slide, or do you want to talk
No,
about?
I'm just
Go ahead. Sorry.
no. You were saying that you have experience with it.
Yes, like yesterday. I'm still sore.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah,
It was
because
good, but it was bad. I felt so bad, but your nervous system was going, oh my God, what is this?
yes, and you were working on oh God, what area? I was
I was
having
working, you mean back in the back of your shoulder blade and your spine?
yeah, and I was having pain in my ribs.
Yeah.
And then when I sat up or went to sit up, I couldn't sit up. You had to lift me off the table.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. But it was like my whole body shifted inside.
Right, because what happened to you in the past,
Mhm.
your body learned to lean and brace on that side.
Yes,
And it's been leaning and bracing for almost a year, almost 2 years, right? Maybe
technically
even more, right?
3 years.
So, yeah, I mean, even when you and I first met, it was probably doing that too.
Yes.
So, what you did is you had the vertebrae were compressed, the nerves were compressed, the fascia was compressed, the scapula was compressed, the trap was compressed, the chest was compressed, the ribs were compressed, the obliques were compressed. And what I did is I found that one spot that I wanted to get on you for a very long time, but we had to allow the other stuff you went through to run its course. And when I released it, your body went, whoa, I don't know where I am.
Hmm.
And then what it did is it braced because it looked at the prior, then it looked at the evidence, then it updated, and then all of a sudden it was like, uh-oh, I'm in danger.
Yes.
And then you know what happened, right? I put my hand on the middle of your back. I started to reassure you, and all of a sudden, your nervous system and your breathing and your body just
Hmm. Yes. Yes, you did. And that has happened many times. And I memorized the address of where I am, where your office is, which used to
oh
be in Germantown, and I had it down. And
yeah.
because my body would think I was in danger and my brain would start to react, and I would just say your address.
Right,
So
because what it's doing is you're pulling your
saying,
body from the past into the present so you don't go back into those negative feedback loops. And there's a lot of vets out there. There's a lot of doctors out there, police, firefighters, all that stuff, right? That are caught in the past. And hopefully this information will help a therapist out there realize, wow, you know what? Joe's not just traumatized. He's expecting to be traumatized. He's
yes,
expecting to wake up. And that's the key thing. If people can change that expectation.
yeah, that's important. That is a key fact that needs to be addressed. A component, I should say.
All right, go to slide number 3. All right. Now we're talking about top-down processing. So what that means is the central nervous system, right? The second nervous system, that deals with the chemical reaction, that deals with all that. But what it also deals with is the fact that a lot of those signals are coming from the top down. And there's a lot of emotions and different types of processing and memories and beliefs and content and perception that is coming from the bottom up and the top down. So it's not just, if we just go ahead and say, okay, we're going to help somebody with, I don't know, let's say frozen shoulder. Well, if we help them with a frozen shoulder, and all of a sudden, 4 years later, they start to develop hip pain on the opposite side, That's because the fascia and the body are still programmed to move incorrect. And now you're starting to talk about the person going, well, I just went through all this and now it's coming back. It didn't come back. It rerouted itself. It found a workaround, a nasty little workaround. When we're working on computers, it's like, oh, I found a workaround for that bug. Well, it's not that. It's trying to, like I said, predict, evaluate, and adjust. But you can see that slide. It says, my experience shapes what I see.
Yes. And there's a lot of information on that in different books. And what's the guy? Gabe? What's it?
Gabor Mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabor Mate is world class. I think he's a fantastic. I've studied him for years. There's some podcasts out there that you can just get on YouTube and find one, and any of his videos will rock you because you're like, whoa! But this is what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when it comes to addiction.
Oh yeah,
The Realm of Hungry Ghosts. That's the correct title, right? That is a fascinating book. And if you have anybody in your life that's dealing with addiction and trauma, I highly recommend that book.
yeah.
And
And a lot of times when we work with addiction, I try to find the one spot where they took the needle or they took the drink or whatever, that one moment in time that's caught up here. And once you catch it, once you open it up, they can start to unravel and reverse engineer it. It's not pleasant. It's by far not pleasant, but I think it's the missing piece in a lot of addiction and recovery.
I agree.
All right, let's move on to slide number 4. All right, so neuroception. So what we're talking about is how fast this gets perceived or received. So if I'm an individual and I have small amount of pain, right, there's going to be a delay. But every time that pain reinforces it, like a Pavlovian signal, right, and salivates, right,
Mm-hmm.
it gets deeper and deeper. And then what happens is there's no delay. It's immediate. And that's what people need to understand. When you are walking around with chronic pain, your neuroception is probably 1 to 5 second reaction. So like, you sit there and you look at it and you go, wow, you know what? I'm hardwired to be in pain. I'm hardwired to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hardwired to have anxiety, all that stuff.
Yeah. And you could even use that in I'm hardwired to fail. I'm hardwired not to be successful. I'm hardwired to nobody will ever take me seriously or follow or listen. Like the list is endless.
Exactly. And that's the thing is everybody can know, okay, if I'm trying to rehab and my body's going slower, maybe it's deeper than the issues are in the tissues. Maybe the issues are in the tissues up here,
Mm-hmm.
not in here, or both.
Yes. Like when you said that, that made me think of, so I've had several clients that were sexually assaulted or mugged and not sexually assaulted, and they do anything to make themselves invisible, gain weight so they won't be attractive, and
But also one step further,
mm-hmm.
their behavior is reinforcing the belief.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, if I have a problem with overeating, right? It could be the fact that it's not what they're eating, it's what's eating them from the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide.
Okay.
All right. Now this is prediction error. So when there's a mismatch, the error drives the learning and the adaptation. Okay, so that means if I feel like I'm in pain because I have, let's say, elbow epicondylitis, right? Tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. If I move my arm, then my body's perceiving that pain. But one piece of data, me working with somebody and opening them up, is not going to unravel a chronic situation because it's deeper than that. Now, I've been blessed, a lot of people have been blessed to be able to have that gift, to be able to say, all right, I'm not just going to open you up here, I'm going to open you up this much. But imagine what happens when they don't move that elbow and there's no pain. Well, it takes a while for that predictive index and the error to prove to itself it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
So all I'm trying to say is that the art of healing or therapy or whatever is not about this approach, that approach, that approach, this approach, because we're all different. We're all unique. But what we have to understand is what's our mind frame going into it. Are you the person that's allowing the therapist to do the work, or are you doing the work to change your predictive index? Are you doing the hard work that changes the behavior and the beliefs? Because a lot of times those beliefs and all that stuff is locked in. And I've been doing this for 27 years, and I have seen the weirdest errors and predictions, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, that works. So hopefully this isn't too deep for people, but I'm just showing you that this is rocket science. This is heavy duty stuff, because we have to go in saying, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And if that means I have to go into that dark night of my soul, if I have to go into my pain and trauma, I have to go into where I need to go into, I'm going to do it. Because a lot of times the issues are in the tissues, but not the fascia tissues, not the brain, but both of them.
Yeah, I like that. The issues in the tissues.
I wish I could say I came up with that, but I didn't.
That's perfect.
I think I heard that from Tom Myers or Eric Dalton. I can't quite remember. Or it could have been Ida Rolf too. But they're all students of hers anyway. All right, slide number 6. All right, now we're getting into the HPA axis. So you see, the hypothalamus is the perceived threat. The pituitary is the alarm signal, and the adrenal glands are the active response. So now we're kind of getting into the beginning of cortisol. Because cortisol is not bad. Cortisol is part of the sympathetic nervous system, right? We want that firefighter to come and save the day, but we don't want that firefighter to go to our house and spray the house down with the hose every hour because it's afraid there's going to be a fire.
No, we don't. We don't.
But think about it. There's a lot of people's nervous system, including mine, the trauma that I went through. I thought that I was calm, cool, and collected. And then I went to the doctor, And he's like, well, you've got high blood pressure. I'm like, get out of here. I don't have high blood. And what I did is I started to do biofeedback. I started to go deeper into that cesspool, which was my history of trauma, right? And I started to pull stuff out. And all of a sudden, I started to heal myself. And what's crazy is I'm in the industry. So I'm like, okay, I'm cranking, helping people all the time. But the problem was I was suffering. And I wasn't aware of it. Not until I realized it's not, my diet's perfect. I'm right on point with that. I work out, I keep myself healthy. But what I didn't do was cleanse my beliefs and my behaviors.
Yeah, that is something that can be very difficult for people. And
Yeah, especially when you don't know.
yeah. Yeah, and I know a lot of the health coaches that are out there and on here deal with this because people don't want to take the steps that they need to take to get better, no matter, like, they have to change, like you said, you have to work on changing your beliefs and finding like what it is that's blocking you from taking things, taking action into your health and fitness. And even if it's deep breathing and different things, people will resist so much.
That's the predictive part. That's what, so they're resisting, sorry to interrupt. They're resisting because they've been taught to resist.
Mhm.
This doesn't work. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and I've had to work hard to make up for this predictive index of their past. That is the hardest thing to do because they've got to believe in you. So you've got to bring it every single day, 24 hours a day, whenever you do that type of work. You've got to bring it because they've got to see that forest through the haze.
Yes. Yes, they do.
All right, next slide. All right, so now we start talking about cortisol. All right. Now, here's something interesting. I don't know if people realized, but since COVID, I have seen more people with high cortisol levels than ever in my 27 years. So when you look at it, people say cortisol is bad. No, cortisol is good. It's just that firefighter keeps spraying that water all over the place. Right? So it's like it raises blood sugar, it regulates metabolism, it increases energy availability. But what if that person's breathing backwards? Their stoke volume, their bellows, like you go to a fireplace and you take that thing and it pumps it up, right? Well, what if somebody can't breathe because they're up in their traps and they can't breathe diaphragmatically because they're breathing from their neck muscles instead of here? You can go to the best breathing expert in the world and, oh, well, belly breathe. They can't because they're stuck. It's not until we dig them out, drop the shoulders down, get the diaphragm that's this way to level out. And then they're like, whoa, what's that?
Yeah.
But more importantly, you've got the belief, you've got the predictive index, you've got the belief system and all that stuff that's wrapped up in there.
Mm.
And that's what I want people to understand. And look at that one over there. Suppresses immune system. Think about that. All these people, my immune system's compromised. So what do? Instead of trying to balance the immune system, they take these things and they try to escalate it and they try to do this. And it's like the immune system and all that is doing exactly what it's been taught to do. You know, you could be a 7-year-old girl that I had that was in her mom's kitchen, and her mom was so just destructive to her identity that anytime she went into anybody's kitchen, she would start to get heart palpitations, all that stuff. But yet when she went to the doctor's office, there was no heart palpitations. And it turns out, here's the crazy thing, she moved into her parents' house. So guess what? That firefighter was spraying that water all over the place. So once she moved out, you know, I talked to her. I said, hey, you know what? You might be dealing with a lot of stuff there that's trapped. As soon as she moved away, she started to get better. Or it could be at work. You could have a dominating boss that just rides you so hard. Well, guess what? When you go home, you're still being ridden hard. You're still having that firefighter go, I'll save the day. But it's, what is the predictive index? What is that brain scanning for? How is it going top down, bottom up? How is it doing the Bayesian thinking, right? How is it starting to put those pieces together? And are those pieces put together correctly? All right, next slide. All right, now this one, a lot of people don't understand, but it's called allostatic load. So this has to deal with the load and the trauma and the damage that the nervous system goes under with pain, chronic pain, you know, and it forces the nervous system and the body to overstimulate. So it's just a fancy way for saying it's the nervous system, the endocrine system, the hormonal system, all that. And it's the increased risk of dis-ease, not disease, dis-ease, fatigue, and emotional distress. And not a lot of people think that way. They go, oh, well, yeah, my immune system's compromised. Well, let's just back up and just not call it your immune system. Why don't we call it the allostatic load of your whole entire being?
Yeah, your whole being.
The whole being. So just like you said, you guys wanted to change the programming and really kind of change and get the different types of holistic stuff and all that. Well, it's the same thing. We have to look at these factors. We can't just sit there and go, okay, I'm going to work out. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to get my rehab done, but I don't want to deal with any of the other stuff. Well, guess what? That could get in the way, and people are spending so much money when a lot of times the chronic pain is 6 inches.
I say that all the time.
All right, next slide.
Okay. I literally do say that all the time. I can ask everybody on my team. 6 inches. I got to fix the 6 inches.
Right. You got to fill the gap, fix the gap between the ears.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're into the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. That's just a simple way of saying fight or flight. So you've got your firefighter going, oh my God, you know, your protective system's going, oh my God. And they just keep pumping out that cortisol. They keep pumping out those chemicals. But if we're just looking at it and saying, okay, I want a pill, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? We have to look at what our role is in the equation. And that's a heavy, heavy thing. And you know it because I've thrown the mirror back at you.
Yes, you have.
Because I'll be able to take people to a certain hallway, but I'm not walking it because I don't want to deny them what I had to go through, what you had to go through, right?
Yeah.
That's the key.
You know what that reminds me of? and this is when you were in Germantown, is I was resisting exercising and doing certain things. And you took me up to the where you do physical therapy, not physical.
Oh, the yoga studio upstairs.
Studio upstairs.
Yeah.
And there was a mirror, and you had, I forget what the device is called that you attach to the door, and then there are bands and stuff.
Oh,
and
the TRX.
I could lean one way with the bands,
Right.
but when I went to lean the other way, I froze. I got scared. I started crying and almost freaked out, and then got upset because it didn't make sense to my brain why I couldn't lean forward with, it was forward, right? I couldn't lean forward with the bands.
Right.
I thought I was going to.
But you see what I mean? The predictive index, right? Your body said, I can't do this.
No, it made me sick inside.
Like and that's called a visceral response. And now we're into the sympathetic nervous. We're starting to get into the HPA, but more importantly, we're about to get into the vagus nerve that dumps into that stomach through the splenic nerve, and it innervates that stomach, and it chews it up and sends chemicals, and there's a lot of dysfunctions with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I just wanted to put the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, because you need the sympathetic. You need that firefighter when you want him, but you don't want him at your front door, spraying the door 24 hours a day.
No, you definitely don't.
All right. Slide number 10. Oh, here we go. Vagal regulation, vagus nerve, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you've got the vagus nerve that comes off the brain, down through the neck, into the stomach, right? And it controls the sympathetic nervous system, and it also helps regulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So all I'm showing you is we went on this journey to start here, and now we're getting into the stuff that everybody knows about, but I wanted to layer on the knowledge that I know and the clients love to hear, which is the vagal regulation. Now, here's the problem. You can't do a stretch. You can't even do a reset. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, well, you can pull on your ears and pull on your tongue and all that stuff. You can do that, but it won't stay. Because your brain and your body and your fascial system and your nervous system have to learn that it's safe. And the only way to know that we're safe is to be proven that we're safe. And me being abused when I was a child, I scanned for danger my whole life. I could be sitting in Machu Picchu going, wow, what a beautiful, what's going on, right? Because I couldn't relax. Now I can finally relax. And that's why we're doing this. That's why I want to show people is it's not just one and done. You know that, but you can take a lot of bites out of that and get people to go, okay, I took a mammoth, megalodon bite out of it. Okay, great. Have fun with that, and I'll see you in a week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, number 11. Now, see what it says? Trauma lives in patterns. So here's the secret. And I tell this to all the clients. Keep a journal. Understand your patterns. If you're sitting there, I've had so many people. Let's say you have a spouse, and that spouse loves control. Well, if you're empathic, you don't want to create friction. The problem is by you being quiet, you're not allowed to express yourself. So that if you can't express yourself, what happens is your body lives in patterns. So then you go, you clear your throat a lot, right? You have excess phlegm because your body's uncomfortable. The histamine response is jacked up because the firefighters spraying the water all over the place. There's patterns there, and those patterns are where the truth sits. So we have to look at our patterns. We have to look at how we process. We have to look at how we respond. You have somebody that talks 1,000,000 miles an hour. Chances are they weren't talked to, or they weren't allowed to have a lot of say in the matter of growing up. So they learned how to spray. And then when you get them to slow down, they're like, I don't know how to do that. That's because you're conditioned to be the firefighter. Uh, 12. My favorite, fascia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so everybody's starting to understand fascia. But 27 years ago, people thought I was smoking whatever because I was saying stuff about how the fascia is the second nervous system. But you can start to see the fascia is the second nervous system. So it's going to be tied to our HPA axis. It's going to be tied to our brain. It's going to be tied to all these different predictive indexes and all these different top downs and bottom ups and all that stuff. And like we talked to the woman earlier, right? If that knee is not moving correctly, that creates a response in her body to brace. So maybe there's nothing wrong with that knee. Maybe it's just what's happened is that knee is not able to express itself. And therefore, the individual has learned helpless behavior that says, wow, okay, I guess I'm just doomed. I'm just doomed. I've got to lose my mobility. I have to lose everything.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I'm not going to beat down fascia and stuff because we have videos on Rooted Somatics Facebook page, all one word. And then we have Daily with Doc and Becca and the videos.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to expand on this, we've already done it. I'm just giving that last piece that not many people know about.
Yes, we did our bridging pain, fascia's impact on the body, mind, and soul was that video that we talked about fascia.
Yeah, and we talked about whiplash. We talked about how trauma sits in the chakras. I mean, we ran the gamut.
Yes. Yes, we did. I'll list that. First one was metabolic frustration, explained the crucial role of the HPA axis. And the second one was the wisdom of the womb. That was a good one. Real insight into pain, trauma, and recovery. And then the third one is overcoming obstacles, working out, blood flow, life flow, and how they're all, that was the title. And then whiplash, neck, shoulder, and fascia solution. So again, with fascia. And then the fifth one was fascia's hints at how connective tissue fuels digestion, brain fog, and pain. And then the bridging the pain, fascia's impact on the body. So we have definitely gone into fascia quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more, right?
Yes, one more slide, and then we have two hands up.
Oh, cool. Okay. Okay, now we have mechanotransduction. So basically what that means is the mechanical load of the biochemical signals and the movement of how the body handles that load. So if I have a heavy mechanical load. Let's take that woman with the knee, right? I have a lot of mechanical shear force going into that knee. How does her biological response affect the load and the predictive patterns of the brain bracing and expecting pain? They reinforce each other. So what we got to do is got to get in there and break it up. Got to get in there and get that movement back, because motion is lotion.
Yes, it is. I like that phrase. Can you say that again?
Motion is lotion.
Can you elaborate on that just a smidge? Because I like it and I think I know what you're saying, but I want to make
No,
sure.
it's no problem.
Yeah.
If you have proprioceptive elements in the joints, they
Mhm.
measure fluid levels, rotational levels, pressure levels, right? Pain levels, thermoreceptors, all that stuff. Pacinian corpuscles and Golgi tendons and all that stuff, right? So without them working synergistically, there's not a full range of motion of that joint. And do you realize if we move our joint perfectly in all ranges of motion, that joint will heal itself, break itself down, and live for a very long time. But the moment that range of motion changes, you have just killed the beautiful feedback mechanisms that we talked about. And now the body's attacking itself, it's not repairing itself. So that's where motion is lotion, because if you have the motion, you have the ability to teach the body and the brain and all these other feedback loops how to move freely and glide, therefore lotion.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All right.
All
So I
right.
think that's it, right?
That is the last slide.
All right. Hopefully I didn't bore the crap out of people.
No, no, you did not. No, you did not bore that out of anybody. It's very fascinating. It really is. I know that, like, I've talked about a few times. Yeah, I've been going through something and recovering from a really big, actually 2 surgeries. And I know that I get nervous when I stand up sometimes because my stomach cramps and stuff. But when I'm more active and moving and stretching, like I've been helping Rebecca pack up her house to move to a new one, and I feel better. I may be sore, but I feel better. I can move better. I can walk faster. I can do a lot of things. But if I just say, oh my God, I can't get up and no, I can't reach that on that shelf, I'm not even going to try. Nothing is going to get better because I'm not releasing. And of course, I come to you and you help me release the trauma from the muscles and the tendons and the fascia really.
It makes a big, I mean, not a lot of people knew about it. Now everybody's starting to understand it, but it's not just one issue. There's 4, 5, 6 different compensations that I'm trying to open up. If I'm a therapist and I'm just doing a 1 trick, 2 trick pony, they might get the 75%, but they're not getting the 25%.
No, that the fascia, especially on your abdominal wall, your core, that whole area, it literally sends the signal from what's under your muscles to your brain.
And what you're doing, Ruthellen, is talking about the mesentery system, the second brain, which is the gut brain.
Yeah, I guess I am. Because my body says it's one thing, and then I go to take care of that, and it's like, no, I needed to do something else, and I don't know why I'm here, kind of thing. Like, why didn't you come here instead of going to the kitchen, or, want to get graphic, so I'm not. We could talk about that.
But anyway, what I want to do is I want to finish with one thing.
Okay.
There's a famous public speaker. His name was Jim Rohn.
Love him.
And he always said, if you change, things will change.
Exactly. That was a good imitation of him. It's true. If you change, things will change. And
Yep.
all of us coaches out there and a lot of other people know that that is a fact. And people, yeah, it's really good. All right. Well, we do have 2 hands up.
All
So
right.
your questions? All right. Keely, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, Tim. It's I'm glad to see you back.
Oh, thanks, Keely.
Yeah, sort of, you go up for long periods of time and we need to keep you connected. Because what you have to say is so, it's so valid and people don't understand it. I've received a couple questions in between the time that you've been on today. And one of them was this, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to sort of answer them if you don't mind. And that is, people wanted to know, it says, well, they listened to the first individual that sort of shared the story about the lady with the knees, and they're like, well, when does somebody know that they need him? What would be the signs? In other words, well, they're locked in a joint, and says, well, when would they need him and why? How would you answer that?
Ooh, that's a loaded question and a delicious question. All right. I think what I would say is when people have tried traditional therapies and it hasn't worked, and they've tried acupuncture, they've tried biofeedback, they've tried everything. Usually, when they're at that last stage, they will usually reach out. And a lot of it is because I'm teaching. I'm not just saying, okay, I'm going to try to help you. It's 27 years of understanding the 25% of the population, that the 75% tried so hard to help, but then eventually they went, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I gave it a great shot. And they probably did, but it's deeper. So from my standpoint, people come to me now, and the other therapists that work with me, they come because of referrals. So you're only as good as your last success. But if you've got a lot of success and you get people opened up and you get them going, wow, that's pretty crazy, then you can change that predictive index that we're talking about. But it usually is they have to go through that dark part. They have to say, okay, I'm going to try this one last time. And then and I tell people with really quick accuracy, if I can't help you in 3 sessions, you're going to need surgery.
Good answer.
That's it. That's,
Well, I think that given the fact, that I deal with so many clients over the time, people don't understand how to really read their body language. They don't understand that emotion gets repressed and it gets stored. They don't understand that the body has a memory and it is unforgiving. It can be totally unforgiving. And, so a lot of individuals I've had a couple individuals who have had actual surgeries where they've had body parts that are cut off and they have the phantom pain, so I'm wondering how you would address that, and or individuals that have like the C word, they have those situations by which there's so much bone pain. How, and have you ever addressed those particular situations?
Well, I've addressed all of them. I deal with traumatic brain injuries, and there's really not much situation that I haven't come across. But how I would deal with the phantom pain, and I have dealt with the phantom pain, is if you have, let's say, an athlete and they wind up getting in a car accident, and the car accident severs the whole entire quad midway, and then they have to have that stitched up and sutured up. A lot of times, the phantom pain is the irritation of the nerves down there that have been bundled up. But also, what about the fascial line itself, right? What if I look at if it's the right leg that's been compromised, and I go up to the left shoulder and I see that that left shoulder is hiked up this way a little bit, right? If I can get that to go back down, when they strike with the artificial, leg, or if they strike or they move, they're not striking exactly on that nerve root that keeps getting irritated. Or the brain is constantly trying to send the signal going, okay, I've got to right this ship. I've got to fix this. I've got to fix this. And a lot of times when you can get up above that, you start to open that hip and you open up the sacrum and you open up the longissimus and you start going after the rhomboids and you go after the levator, you can get that fascial line from what Tom Myers talks about. You can get that spiral line to stop being so irritated that ends at the caboose where the amputation happened. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's a really cool thing. And as far as the other example you talked about, you can have degenerative joint disorder. But people need to understand, if I have a joint and it's compromised, let's say it's fused or it's arthritic or whatever, the other ones above it and below it are going to learn how to be dysfunctional just like that one. And if we can get the range of motion and get areas of their body to stop being tilted, compromised, compressed, stenotic, all that other stuff, we can start to get other parts of the body to take the load off of the dysfunctional joint that is just basically screaming, get the hell off my back.
Okay, so make sure that you have your information out there so we know where to find you. I am in Ohio, but I know that there are other individuals. And then the last one, I have a ton of questions I can ask you, but I'm going to let Phyllis go. And then if you've got more time, I'll come in after her.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that we do have people come from all over the country to work, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours. We set it up, but I can have you call the office and call the number and we can talk. But I just had somebody that came from South Carolina, Texas, and Kentucky.
Gotcha. And it would be nice to know if you could do those assessments like via Zoom before they get there.
Oh, that's what we do. That's what I do.
Okay.
I don't take that on. I want to make sure that I see it and, kind of really get in there and change that programming before they even come.
Okay, so I'm going to default to Phyllis, and then if you've got time later, I'll ask some other questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Great to see you.
Thank you, Keely. And Phyllis.
Yes, hello, Tim.
Yes, Phyllis.
Couple of quick questions. First of all, Ruthellen, you had mentioned some videos that we have available. So how do we access those videos?
Good question. You can go to the Critical Health News YouTube channel and select live, and you should be able to search for Tim Marsh. And so they would be in there, and also on Rumble, you can access them there.
So these would not be a program like today's program, but separate, shorter videos?
No,
but you're talking about other programs where we've had Tim on.
Yes, that would be just like this.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yes, we haven't made reports out of them yet.
Gotcha. All right. And Tim, if someone is unable to come to you, would you be able to work with that person remotely?
I could. Usually what I like to do is when COVID hit, I did a lot of remote stuff, when I told them to put balls and trigger points and stuff like that, right? But the longevity of that lasting doesn't work out that well, and that's a frustrating part. That's a very frustrating part, because I have a lot of people say, well, I wish you lived in California. I wish I could recreate myself. I'm starting to teach and stuff. But more importantly, it's faith. It's saying, okay, you know what? I've had people watch these shows and they come up and they're like, that's the best thing I ever did. Right? Because it's not a gamble. It's the last part of a dysfunctional equation that can be figured out. And a lot of times it's not just one issue. There's like 5 or 6 different compensations that need to be figured out. So honestly, the success rate of virtuals doesn't work.
It sounds as though what you might be able to do in consulting with someone, let's say by Zoom, you would be able to point them to an area of therapy where perhaps they would either find someone in the local area or choose to come out and visit with you. And if someone did come out there, would they be able to, does it work if they spend, let's say, a few days in your area and you saw them, maybe once every day for a few days, or, take a day off in between kind of thing?
Well, Phyllis, we've had people come from, I had one guy in COVID, this is what started it all. He came, saw me during COVID for 5 hours. I worked on him for 5 hours. He had some major, major stuff. And we had plenty of time. There was rest periods, and all this stuff. And he did really well, and we do have people that stay with loved ones or they stay in hotels or whatever. And we set it up that way. But the main thing that I really want people to understand is I'm one individual. I've got a great staff, all that stuff, but I will not sacrifice the people that I already have as clients. I will squeeze people in, and I will do what I need to do on my days off to make that happen. But yeah, it's not easy, but it is very rewarding to have somebody come and have a frozen shoulder and open it up, and then have them go back to the surgeon and say, wow, Tim said the surgery went well, and the surgeon's crying because he had to do what he had to do to freeze that up. And then he's coming up going, how did you open that up? And I say, how could I not? If you understand the fascia and you understand the movements, you know what I mean? I hope that answers it. It's a really sore subject, but it's a true subject. I'm a Taurus. I need to get my hooves in the dirt. That means I got to get my hands on people. I gotta move some stuff.
Well, I think it would possibly benefit some people, even if they were speaking with you remotely, to get the hope and the faith that healing is possible, and to know which direction they maybe need to go in. And I agree with Keely. We need to have you on more often, and this truly could be the missing piece for a lot of people. I think it's really interesting.
Well, I'm ready. I want to dive into some addictions. I want to dive into stuff. I want to dive into traumatic brain injuries. I want to be able to crack this Pandora's box wide open, because I don't want to die with this song inside me.
All right. Thanks so much. And back to you.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you. Yes, and I love it when people come and visit you. I've had a few friends come and visit you and pick them up at the airport, been able to hang out with them and take them to their hotel, get them to you, do all that.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly, right?
Yes, that is an option.
Yeah.
All right. Keely, did you, oh wait, I had a comment in,
I can go to 4:30 if somebody said, does Tim have more time to answer questions?
Okay. All right. And then, there's one more comment that I was hoping. Oh, it was from Corey. She was okay. So Corey C says, this is really good info. I will be visiting in my naturopathic doc tomorrow for tendonitis in my shoulder. Now I know more to discuss with her. So that was very good. And then is saying, my body needs some work. A chiropractor does not seem to be sufficient. Your thoughts? There was another comment.
What, my thoughts on the chiropractor?
Be careful. No.
I'm not going there.
Okay. Oh, I know. All right. So Keely, my body needs work. And given, Hattie also said, given that life often, given that life is often, how do you maintain this? I'm not sure. There's a word I misspelled. How do you maintain this flow that you do?
Ooh, I don't understand flow.
Well, I'm not really sure because it's misspelled. So Hattie, if you're still here, can you read?
How do I keep doing what I'm doing? Like, how do I do it?
Oh, she's got her hand up. So Keely, I'm just going to go to Hattie real quick and then come to you. So Hattie, if you can unmute.
Awesome. This has been quite mind-blowing. And
that's great.
What you said was, and I got to go back and listen to it, but you were talking about the flow of the fluid going through the fascia and whatever, and that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We be moving with things get pinched, but you got to keep the flow. So my question is, life be lifing, you be pinching stuff. So what do you do to keep the flow flowing, to keep this liquid flowing? But when I was talking about the chiropractor, what I hear you say is that what you do is a whole hell of a lot deeper than that. Now I can go to the chiropractor, which I don't like. I'm gonna be honest, but I mean, cool, they do some things. But in any event, and they can readjust some stuff and take some of the pain off, take the nerves off and stuff, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But but listening to you, I feel like, my gosh, I could get a whole heck of a lot more results if I come to somebody like you. And I just wanted to know what you thought.
Well, that's a loaded question. I have a lot of chiropractors who are clients. They are limited by what they can do because they're manipulating the bone. And a lot of times when you force the bone into something very forceful, you create a weakness in that bone over time. It's called, I just drew a blank. But it's where, it's called subluxation, where the joint becomes very loose. And a lot of times, like I said before, if they're going after this and they're going after, let's say, C3, and they're adjusting you, what happens is every time you get adjusted, your body and all these signals we talked about has to readjust harder. So what you want to do is you want to get the area open so they don't have to adjust it as hard, or they don't need to adjust it because it doesn't want to be adjusted. And I know Ruth Ellen can speak to that because she's been through it too.
Yeah, I have. Definitely.
But anyway, the flow is really simple. You get the body moving, you get the body grooving, you get the free range of motion, you do it pain-free. And also you start to look at things like the lymphatic system. You start looking at the breathing patterns that move the lymphatic tissue and all that stuff. And you just tell the body it's okay to do that because the body forgot it because the pain taught it to not want to pay attention.
Yeah. She muted herself. Did you have, I'm going to unmute you, Hattie, in case you wanted to respond to what Tim just.
Thank you. I was sitting here trying to unmute because I wanted to respond, but I just Ashe, and I love what you just said. I got it in terms of the subluxation piece.
Yeah.
But worse versus
and you also go to the chiropractor and say, you know what? Don't adjust me so hard.
Oh, I tell them. I'd be like, look, don't be.
I'm sure you did. You seem like you got your finger on the pulse.
But no, what you do is a lot different. So yeah, I got your email. No, not email. Your website.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna attempt to come and see you one of these days.
I welcome it.
Thank you so much.
All right, Hattie, take care.
All right, and then Keely.
Okay, I promise I won't keep you past 4:30.
Okay.
As I listen to you, I'm answering questions, from people who are texting me. And basically what I said, look, this guy's able to reverse engineer what the rest of the systems aren't able to do because they are not integrated in their approach. And, because basically you're taking it from a biomechanical standpoint, an emotional standpoint, you're looking at all the dots and crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And so when I asked the question, how does somebody know that they need you? One of the things that I sent out was, when you work in the corporate world and you end up with that thing between your shoulders, I said, and you can't roll it off when you get home. When you roll out of bed, I said, and your body hurts before your feet even hit the floor. I said, that's your body basically talking to you. So one of the other questions is really about going back to one of your statements about the body, how it compensates for, like, when you're pregnant, the woman sways, but when you have a hip surgery and or a knee surgery or a knee issue, let's just say it's, bone on bone, you start to watch, somebody sway. I have several customers who've made it back by rebuilding their bone matrix, no longer have those issues. And then you get to watch the body come back into alignment.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. What do you have to say with, I spend a lot of time in senior centers and, individuals lose their center, that equilibrium center when they're walking on crutches. I happen to be on a crutch myself, but walkers, when they're walking on the walkers, is there something unique that you do or could do to help in the realignment so that the older seniors are not bent over, but are more erect?
Sure. What I do is I go after where the eyes go, the body follows. Right.
Interesting.
So if I'm losing balance, my body's going to lean forward to make sure I don't fall backwards. And a lot of times I'm working with senior citizens. There was a fall in the past that when I hold their hand and I have them sit back in the chair, they think they're falling off the cliff. But the bigger thing is when we sit in the chair, right? So if we sit and our hamstrings flex, that's tight. It's not tight under posture, it's tight under tension, right? So then they stand up and that hamstring's short. And then what happens is it gets adhesed and then they try to stretch it out. And then what happens is it changes the ligaments in the joints and then the pelvis tips forward. And then once that tips forward, then the bowling ball tips forward. So now the neck and the lower back are the ones that take the hit. And they usually have this kyphotic curve. So my job is I go after the kyphotic curve because that's the missing piece, because that's what balances out the other two curves.
Fascinating. So that principle would also follow from individuals who sleep in recliners and or sleep not flat in bed.
Yeah, but see, that's a problem because if they can't lay flat, then you have to get the x-ray, you got to get the MRI to see, and if it comes out that it's clear, then it's usually the predictive index that's going, I can't lay flat because my body doesn't even know what that is. So then you very systematically get them to break down. Like I can't tell you how many times, Ruthellen, you've been through it, where when we first started, I told you, where's your back? And you're like, well, it's on the table. And I'm like, when's the last time that back has been on the table? 20 years ago, whatever, right? Because of the trauma and the fight or flight, having us get ready to get out of danger. So there's a lot of components, especially senior citizens, man, because they don't know what they're losing. And then they're going into a home. They have the mental trauma of realizing that they're starting this low trajectory and it's time to fight like hell before they even get to that.
Yeah, it would be that really is fascinating because I see so many of them and they can live out a good life if they're able to stand erect and walk and participate. But once they get sort of labeled into that chair, it's a whole different situation. And what I have noticed is there's a correlation in between them walking and the amount of hope that they have for longevity.
Absolutely. If they don't move, they're not grooving. If they're not grooving, their blood flow is not going, their blood pressure is going up, their nervous system is going up because they're immobilized.
Yeah. And then the last one that I have is really about burn victims. Have you been able to work with any burn victims given the fact there's so much scar tissue?
Yeah, I've worked with them. They're very challenging. But again, if you look at, I had somebody who had a horrific burn in their back, 3rd degree, and they had scar tissue in the front. That wasn't burned, but that was, right? So as soon as I opened up the chest and opened up the ribs, it took the stretch off of that scar tissue. And they were like, oh my God, that feels amazing.
And
so it's all about angles.
Gotcha, my dear. Well, thank you for answering those questions. And I'm going to catch you on the next one because I got more.
Okay.
Thank you, Keely. You're awesome. All right. It's 4:26, Tim. We covered a lot of really good stuff.
I know this was going to be like that, Ruth. I really did.
Yes. Yes, it is. I've really enjoyed this conversation that we've had and all of the different comments from people, and the information that you give is always powerful and dynamic. You really do a good job.
Well, I'll tell you what, anybody has any more questions, write them down, shoot them to me.
Okay.
You know, we'll try to do, see if we can help any starfishes along the ocean seabed that are being baked by the sun. Let's throw them back in the ocean and let them keep going.
Let's do that. Let's definitely do that. All right. And we're going to have to schedule a next time for you to be on. And then,
well, what do they want? What do they want to talk about?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Find out. And Keely, of course, does a great job, Tim. You did really good. And then you have a YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah, it's called Rooted Somatics. You just type in Rooted Somatics, all one word. You'll see ours is up at the top, and then there's another person that has a business called Rooted Somatics, and they in Seattle, Washington. If you hit either one of them, she's really awesome too.
Okay, but we want them to hit yours, so it's Rooted Somatics, all one word, on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, then you'll see it, and we're gonna start posting videos. I've got yoga instructors that want to start talking about chakras, and I'm a former yoga instructor, so I've got all kinds of stuff to talk about that.
Good. I cannot wait. All right. I think I covered most everything. So if I get my co-host to join me on screen, that would be super awesome, and we'll close out this magnificent show. Super awesome. Bruce says is giving you a thumbs up out there.
Thanks, Bruce.
Jerry and let me try and join you on your spotlight. And then Albert, you got to turn your camera on. And AJ, you're probably working, and I'm not sure. There you go. Thank you, Albert. All right. So here you got the crew that helps every day. So we have Marilyn, who is typing in the chat, and which is a definite benefit of being here. She even put like Gabber, how do you say his name? Gabber Mate. I don't know why I can't say it today. A list of his books in there, and they're really powerful books.
Totally.
Yeah.
I recommend it. I would totally recommend it.
Yes, I agree. And so she's out there typing and doing all kinds of stuff, and you unmuted. Did you want to say something, Marilyn?
No, I think I just hit that.
Okay, just checking. Want to make sure. All right, so she's Miss Speedy Fingers, and we love her. So thank you for all that you do. And then we have Sherry, who is part of our tech crew, and she helps set everything up. and she is an amazing health coach and support. I lean on her often for a lot of different things. So thank you. Thank you. And then we have Albert from South Africa. And yes, it is winter where Albert is. And that's why he is wearing his warm coat. Thank you so much, Albert. And he is the gentleman that will answer the phone in the middle of the night when we're all sleeping. And he is an excellent health coach and our gatekeeper and a true gentleman. Totally love him. And then AJ is out there, and he's our digital marketing director, and he helps set a lot of things up and gets, there's too many things to list for AJ. He does a lot, and I'm grateful as heck that he's part of our team as well. He's family. And then, of course, we have Becca Dukes, who's out there busy working on moving her house. So love to you, Rebecca, and we will see you soon. And this program was for educational purposes only, not meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any diseases. And we do not make any claims on health, income, or anything. We're just giving information. Also, if somebody referred you to this program, please get back with them. And if not, then you could call 855-949-3377 to speak with a certified holistic health coach. Also, if you have questions or want information given to Tim, you can email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com and put Tim Marsh in the comment, in the subject line, and then we'll make sure to get the information to him. Also, if you're interested in being a certified holistic health coach, please go to coach.dailywithdoc.com. We need health coaches. The world needs them. And also, very important, we do not have a live show tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be doing a replay, and we haven't, or revisit, we like to call it revisit. We haven't decided what it's going to be. And you never know, it could be one of Tim's. Why not, right? Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I don't think did I forget anything? Anybody? Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you again, Tim. And
bye, everybody.
Talk to you after the show in a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I love you to pieces. Bye. And thank you. Thank you. And always remember to be kind and be respectful to people. That's part of being kind. Bye, everyone.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in Pathology, Naturopathic Doctor.